And we are live. Hello, everyone. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Rebel. Welcome to the Jeet Kune Dialogues, episode number 350. We are awaiting my cohort, Mike Yuskiw, to come on board. He's got to update some software, I guess, on his phone or his computer or something. Right. So he'll be with us in just a second. In the meantime, if you are let's see, if you're here, go ahead and put something into the comments so that I know who's up and about. We should be simulcasting over on the YouTube. Okay, Ronnie Reagan's here. Just don't get on Helena's last nerve, Ronnie Reagan. Inside joke there, right? Russell Dulai is here. Russell, I saw that you're going to England, right? You're going to Bournemouth, I think, to hang out with. I guess it's the Ghost guys. Bill Sang's here from Deutschland. Todd, the Jeet Kune Do bouncer. Okay, so we are active on the YouTube, and there's Bucky. Simon Alpin's here from Southampton. All right, cool. So we got the usual crew, right? And Todd. Wait. Oh shoot, Kennedy. I knew I'd remember it. Right, Todd's here. If you guys actually have questions for Mike while he gets ready, go ahead and put them into the comments, and I'll try to collect them. While we wait for him, if you are interested at all in supporting me and the show, you can go to JKD. I'm sorry, go to Rebel Gear. .printify.me, rebelgear.printify.me, and take a look at the stuff that we have available over there. That's rebel gear dot hang on, rebelgear.printify.me. Okay, all right, get that out of there, Dwight. Get it. There we go. Right. Eric Gaskin's here. Eric, I looked in my emails today to see if there was any kind of update either from you or from Printify. So if that shipment still hasn't come in, I apologize profusely. But email me something, Eric, and after the program, I'll go ahead and take a look at it and see what it is that I need to rectify. Apparently, there's something about if it's an item that can be personalized, like I have to give the authorization for it or whatever, which is I had never heard of that before, and I think that's what might have delayed everything. Okay. While we're talking about stuff, while Mike gets here, this is the GoFundMe page. Excuse me, for my student Wayne Quinton down in Barbados. This is to help his wife in her fight against breast cancer. So if you'd make a note of that GoFundMe URL and contribute something there, I would greatly appreciate it. Next thing, JKD Drills here on Facebook, facebook.com/JKD Drills. Go over there, like and follow that page for when it's up and running. At paypal.me/unified MA Miami, paypal.me/unified MA Miami. The Jeet Kune Do Journey Volume 1 raw but edited version is available. paypal.me/unified MA Miami. If you are still unaware, okay, Titans of Jeet Kune Do, Chris Kent and Cass Magda is coming up. Ignore this date that says 2016. It is actually February. This is an old poster that I'm using, all right, just so I could put something up. It's February 7th and 8th, the first weekend of February next year here in Miami. Go to titansofjkd.com for all the relevant information. Titansofjkd.com. Last but not least, Junfan Kickboxing Volume 1 is the Quick Skills series. Junfan Kickboxing and this is at my Gumroad page, which is the jkdrebel.gumroad.com /L//XZALL. The jkdrebel.gumroad.com /L/XZALL. And that is all the commercing to be done today. And we'll hope that Mr. Yuskiw can get his software all updated and join us in quick time. Right? Okay, so who else has joined us? Mark David Collins is here from the UK. Mick Tully. Yeah, where's Mark Black and Terry Valor? Those slackers, right? So I don't know if you guys saw Mick and I celebrated. I think it was 7 years of Facebook friendship, but that's bogus. Mick and I have known each other since dirt was invented, right? Russell Fuson's here from Indiana. All right. Who else joined? There's Peter Easterland from Coastal Kung Fu in Massachusetts, right, Peter? Okay. All right. So Russell says he'll be hanging out with the Ghosters, instructor development in December. All right. Cool. Cool. Um, Nick Cavallino's here. Nick, let me know in the comments. Will we see you not next weekend, the weekend after? Right? Are you going to be at the Cas Magda thing in Lansing? Let me know, because if you are, I'm looking forward to catching up with you over there. And that's it. That's it. Can anybody tell me where Mike Yuski is? Um, yeah, okay. Still says he's got to update some software. All right. So what? Okay, Nick says he'll be there. Terry Valor's here. Okay, cool. All right. So while Mike updates his software and whatever, somebody throw a topic into the comments. Start discussing um, before Mike gets here. Somebody throw a topic in. Tell you that. All right, hang on one second. I gotta resend him the join link. Hold on one sec. Yeah, live streaming is fun. Don't let anybody tell you different. Okay, podcasting is fun. Kwaku, it's a dialogue episode with one of my counterparts, Mike Yuski. So he's the agenda, right? I met Mike in person the first time, maybe a couple of years ago in at the seminar in Georgia, the Inosano and Fong seminar, and then he was there. He was there last weekend, but we didn't really get a chance to hang out, because I'm old now. So as soon as we finish training, I just go back to the hotel and fall asleep. Right. So I didn't get to hang out with Mike or whatever. And so I asked him if he'd come on today and we can catch up live and in living color. Um, Mike needs a MacBook, says says his namesake Lee Kanarek. Right. So I saw something there. Muay Thai or Junfan JKD as your core, and why? Muay Thai as your core? Yeah, a lot of people. Simon, um, kick, punch, elbow, knee, takedown is good enough for them. So that's their core. Junfan JKD as your core. Well, Junfan JKD would have kick, punch, knee, elbow, takedown as well. Junfan JKD uses what I call the four skills empty-handed combat: kicking, punching, trapping, grappling. So any of them could be. So that could be your core because it's well-rounded. Muay Thai could be somebody's core because I mean they don't have sophisticated grappling. You know, the new Muay Thai has a lot of sweeps as takedowns and hip, what do they call it? Hip bumps that look like Kendrick Siko from the Silat and what have you. So anything that covers as many of the four skills of empty-handed combat as possible, I don't see why that can't be your core, right? Oh, Simon says you said ask a question. So that wasn't really a real question, huh? Is that what you're saying, Simon? It wasn't really a real question, huh? Okay, all right. So I think Mikey is ready. Let's get him. Let's pop him into. Whoops, that's not how I wanted it to show up. That's how I wanted it to show up. All right.
Good evening. Good evening. How you
How
doing,
you doing,
sir?
my friend? Everything cool?
Good. Yeah, I had to do some technology stuff, install the different software, but I'm with you.
Oh, well, somebody
So,
said
how you
somebody
doing
says
tonight?
what you need is a MacBook.
That could be true because this is actually not a MacBook. I have used them. I've used both,
Yeah,
and this is an old. This is running on like XP, 1985 something.
I ha-
So I had to update software.
I have a an XP laptop, right? But it's my music laptop, right? So that's all that's on there, and the reason why it's a really silly reason, but the reason why I keep that XP is because I like a particular feature of the media player. There's a particular thing that you can
Yes.
click,
No, it wasn't. It's not
right?
silly.
And that's why
Yeah.
that's why I keep it.
The way that music is now,
You
yes,
know,
yes. No, I understand that. And there's moments in time where we had a lot of music on a certain laptop, and it's easier to just play it from that laptop as
yeah,
things change, right? Because we don't I don't download anything anymore. I don't
right.
torrents. When I was overseas, I may have done some of those. Okay, we'll move. Maybe that was not legal, during certain
Yeah,
jurisdictions or
who cares,
whatever.
right? Listen,
No, but now you can stream
yeah,
everything
okay.
anyway.
So you just said,
Right now you can stream
yeah,
everything
you
anyway.
just said
So
when you were overseas, and that's actually in the list of the questions that I came up with a few questions, even though I said, we're just going to be two guys catching up, right? Like we weren't able to do in Georgia,
right,
right?
right.
But I did need you,
That's
I
right.
did
That's right.
need you to remind me. Um, it's Renmin or Remnin University, right? Where,
That's really difficult to say if you
yeah,
haven't trained it. Yeah, it's Ren
okay,
Min, which is
yeah,
not easy. So the first syllable is
yeah.
REN. That's person, and then MIN is like multiple of the
Oh
first
man.
thing. So yeah, Ren Min
Okay.
University, like the People's University, is what it actually.
So
Yeah,
how did you end up there? Because in case you guys don't know, Mike is fluent in Mandarin Chinese, right? So, but tell us how you ended up there.
I appreciate you granting me fluency. Fluency is relative, but I appreciate that. So actually, what happened was it wasn't really good planning. I kind of so I was so focused on finishing my undergrad that I wasn't looking at what the next semester and what after. Most people, what most students do is in the last semester they don't really study. They don't really try to knock their classes out of the park. What they try to do is they study for the GRE or the LSAT or the MCAT or whatever the thing is, and they set up for grad school or they set up for whatever they're
Mhm.
doing after. I was so focused because junior year I'd gone over abroad and then I came back and I was like, I'm going to finish. And the economic crisis was happening. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to get into a government job, so let me focus on my Chinese. And I knew someone that was connected with someone in the international relations department at Renmin University because she came over to the U.S. and I was kind of like a
Yeah.
language partner. And she knew this guy back in China, and then he had gone to a different school and happened to be Renmin. So when I was talking to her, she was like, "Well, there's this program at Renmin University where they're bringing foreigners in." I was like, "Well, maybe I should apply to that." So I didn't need a GRE for that because you need a GRE for our like
Mhm.
our grad schools, and so foreign students need that to come in. I didn't need that to go overseas, so I did really well as an undergrad, and then I didn't really prepare. The economic crisis happens, and I said, you know what? I'll just go to that program. And I
Right.
got in, so I decided to go. It was a good marriage between international relations and Chinese, and I figured I would continue kind
Right.
of studying language and all of those things. That kind of little, I was still in a period where my back, I still felt like I couldn't train martial arts kind of substantially. So I was like, yeah, let's keep it on the back burner. I'll go
Right.
to China.
But it wasn't
So yeah, it was like
was it martial
2009.
art that got you interested in things Chinese? Yeah.
Yeah. Really Japanese and
Ah.
Chinese. Yes, 100%. I mean, when I was really young, it was kind of like looking at all of these icons, you read the Buddhism. So, in the US, we're very sort of Japanese centric because Zen is really Chan in China, but it went from Chan to
Mhm.
Zen and then to the US. So I kind of like the typical kind of American in a sense, I kind of went through a lot of Japanese influences and then finally found Chinese. I found Bruce Lee, but there was other things that was like Japanese is intriguing, and then when you get into it, you find other things, and Chinese was one of those other things. So I had
Right.
dictionaries in both actually. So when I bought the Chinese dictionary, I already had a Japanese dictionary. And when later on people were saying, well, Japanese is a pass, you should study Chinese, I said, okay. Because really, as long as I was in Asia, it was fine.
Yeah.
Like, I still had them on the
What
shelf,
do they mean
right?
by
My
Japanese is the
martial arts
past?
library is over there.
What do they mean by Japanese is the past?
Well, after World War II, all the when I went to all my academic advisors, they were like, "Well, we've already sort of rebuilt Japan. China's going to take over, so you should study
Huh.
Chinese. If it was like the 70s, the 80s, it'd be Japanese, but now you should study
Okay.
Chinese." And I said, "Well, it's already right
Okay.
there." So I just shifted, and that's interesting because when I went to University of Maryland and I had switched my major from Japanese to Chinese, and an academic advisor said, "Wait, you just switched. They're not the same thing, right?" And I was like, "Of course I know they're not the same thing." Actually, there's a school in Maryland, Towson. If you major in Asian studies at Towson, you have to take maybe 2 years of Japanese and 2 years of
Huh.
Chinese, which is fine. But if you only do 2 years of one of those, you don't know
Yeah.
anything. You have to go beyond maybe 4 years to really be able to do something when you go over
Ah.
there. You can't just take a couple of years and really know the
Right.
language. So that's a
Okay.
problem.
Refresh everybody's
So
memory. Your start in Jeet Kune Do was definitely from your namesake, right? Or was there somebody else before?
you mean
Yeah, before you ended up with
from
yeah,
Mike
before you ended
Rivka?
up with Krivka, was it? Yeah,
Mike Rivka.
but that was your Jeet Kune Do start.
Yes. Well, that was the real start.
Ah.
So I had found someone who had read the books and had done some guy that my mom had run into, and someone had brought up Jeet Kune Do, and so I went over. They were doing. They had some kind of like rust proofing and detailing, whatever. So I'm in their like sort of like a waiting room, right? And the guy comes out because I had his business card. My mom had talked to him. So we start doing some kind of Pak Sao parry
Uh-huh.
drill. It was really weird. But I knew I was like, okay. Well, you're some kind of Jeet Kune guy, and he was he had some kind of a lineage through a guy he said was Grandmaster Donatello. He literally said that. I swear to God, that's what he said. Grandmaster Donatello. I swear to God. So, I didn't know anything. I had a black belt. I had a black belt in
Right.
Taekwondo, and I was like, I know I don't know much. I know enough to know I don't know that much.
You know
So
something?
I'm in his waiting room. This
What
man
if,
is like,
right? What if he actually meant Grandmaster Dan Asano? Right.
and he said
Right.
it wrong.
What if,
We just
right?
kind of like melded them together.
What if
Oh
he
yeah,
actually meant Grandmaster
oh
Dan
yeah,
Asano
it's
and
Guru
it came out as
Donatello. Yeah,
Donatello?
it's Guru
Yeah.
Donatello. Yeah, get up here. Right, exactly. Guru Donatello. I'll show you some of the stuff that we don't have sticks, but I'll show you some. Guru Donatello. Here, get up here. We'll show
Yeah.
you some stuff. So I start doing this weird Pak Sao drill with him, and I'm in my mind. I'm like, this is some bad outtake from the Karate Kid that didn't make it
Yeah.
into the thing. Because I'm doing something, and I'm Joe Taekwondo, and I'm like, this doesn't really pass the
Okay.
smell test.
So you
But
moved on to Krivka?
when I found Mike
Yeah.
Krivka, so what happened was I still went to that guy like once or
Okay.
twice because I was like, something is weird here, but maybe this is one of these things. I have to wait him out before he gives me something real. I don't know. So I went back to him like two or three times. So when I found Mike Krivka, who was in the area, I said, there's this other guy that I'm training with. I want to train with you. What do you think of this other guy? He was basically, Mike Krivka was like, well, if you have this other guy, what do you need me for? Just go train with him. And so I was like, no, 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 no. Let's start off with the right. This is going off on the. Hey, I'd like to come to your
Yeah.
class. I had to like just basically like let's start over. So once I started training with Mike Krivka, it was very clear that this other guy was, reading a few of the old
I
books and
see.
trying to, say that he was. I don't think he actually had any instruction with any real. I think he basically may have had traditional
Right.
teaching and then read
Okay.
books where sometimes people think that they can read the books and
Yeah.
he's self-taught. So I think that may have
Are
been his.
you
So I went off. I went to.
do you know do you recognize the names Pat Finley and Steve Braun?
Oh, absolutely. I've trained with them
Okay.
many times. I never, unfortunately, I never really went out to Columbia and trained with them. See, I was in Montgomery County. They were in Howard County. It was a little bit of a
Yeah.
different area. They weren't that
Yeah.
far away, and I regret not traveling out there. I think I only traveled out there a couple times to see Scott Anderson, Steve
Hmm.
Braun, and Pat Finley was in that area. But I know I trained with him a couple times when he was at different
Right.
seminars, and he may have brought in. They probably brought Guru Dan in the first time I ever trained with him in Columbia in maybe
Yeah. I
'97.
mean, because
That was probably the first time
yeah,
I ever trained.
because they were. I remember in '83 when I met Sifudan, and at some point thereafter, when I told him that my parents lived in Baltimore, and he said, well, and he gave me those two names, Pat Finley and Steve Braun. But this would have
Yeah,
been in the '80s, so
yeah.
I don't think Mike Krivka was around yet. But because if you look on
He was still with he was still with Masaki Hatsumi. He was still with a lot of the and maybe Wally
in the
J, but he was
80s,
definitely with the ninjutsu
yeah,
guys. Yeah, exactly. He was still with Guru Dan at that time, but maybe you didn't know him because he just
okay,
started. From what I understand, Mike Krivka started training with Guru Dan in maybe in '83, but he was already a fifth degree black belt under Masaki Hatsumi and Shuto Tanamura, so two different styles of
hmm,
ninjutsu. So he was rooted in these Japanese styles, and then really came over into the Inosanto. I mean, he won him over. He was like, "Whoa, I have to
yeah.
do this." So, but he was rooted in those styles because he came up as a ninjutsu guy.
So your first Inasano seminar could have been 28 years ago.
Oh yeah, since '97. I have the notes. Over here is a bunch of notebooks. That's where it's in
Okay,
there.
all
I
right.
have it.
So
I have it.
okay,
I have it. Every seminar, at least there was an attempt to take
Yeah.
notes at every seminar. I have a date, and then
Right.
it's in there over
Okay.
there. Yep, 100.
Reflect
percent
on that. 28 years of Inasano seminars.
Yeah,
Reflect on that.
have to go into the
Did
matrix,
you make notes
reflect on
last
that.
weekend?
Yeah, 100. It's 13 pages
Wow.
for those 16 hours. 13 pages. Yeah. Now, the first time I trained with Cifo Francis, I took a half a page.
Okay.
This time I took maybe 2.5 pages. So I tried to document more of when he would
Yeah.
break and say something and then go, okay, go. I would try to have some
Uh-huh.
takeaway because it's not as easy with Cifo Francis because Guru Dan keeps looking at the clock and he keeps going, all right, I'm racing against time. We got to switch. And I'm like,
You know what?
holy 4 letter word.
Okay.
I got to like draw a line. We're going
Mike,
into.
I have a suggestion for you. You should put your seminar notes up for sale to my good friend Ron Reagan Goldstein. He could benefit from that, right? How did you get 11 pages of notes from Inasano? Do you write real big or what, how did you
so,
get 11 pages of notes?
so I have to admit, um, because Mike Krivka was we were East Coast. You're an East Coast guy, you know. We can't drive an afternoon away to the academy. So when we go to seminars, we have to make it count. And what you really have to do is write whatever you can with those
Mm-hmm.
sections. Like every time you stop, and every time he does something, there's a tug of war between watching what he's
Mm-hmm.
doing and writing it. Now, if you can just look and write, that's great. But then you look and that's just garbage. I have no idea what I'm doing. So the more seminars you go to, the more you can say, okay, I understand the framework. We're in Jeet Kune. He's starting from ABC. There's going to be combinations, 5 counts. Okay, attack series. You know, it's going to be lead kick, a combination, lead kick, or there's a kick in the beginning, a kick in the end, there's a hand combination in the beginning. You don't even have to write the kick now. You can go CHC, CUC, cross, uppercut, cross. You can go overhead, uppercut, overhead. You can go,
You you you're
O, O,
you
U,
ready for
O.
this?
That's it.
You missed one. CBHC.
Wait,
CBHC.
CBHC?
CBHC.
Yeah, CBHC,
No.
right? Low,
No,
high.
it's not a 4 count. It's still a 3 count. It's cross body hook cross.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Cross body
Yeah.
hook. Yes, yes, that's right. That's right. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So this is exactly what I'm talking about because you could have 5 count in
Yes.
there and go, all right, see how many 5 counts you get. And when you look at the notes, you could say, all right, how many? I don't know how many 5 counts I got. And the next time you go back, it's easy to commit a few. You already have a few committed to
Hmm.
memory. So then when he goes into HIA ABC, you're like, okay, there's a few, because those HIA are not going to be as complex as the stuff in the afternoon with Francis Fong, right? If you've only done the stuff, the Wing Chun stuff, that's from I don't know how to say this without, you're always going to offend someone, and depending on how you say it. Through a JKD lens, you're doing a few of the trapping things that lead into combination that doesn't get that complicated. Low POC, high POC, there's a few different
Yeah.
things, right? And you train that, you flow from HIA to ABC. That stuff's in the notes. So that stuff's great. You've seen that before. You go back to that. Sometimes you train. You can train all of it. None of the variations are new, but you still can share that with people around you that may not have done it before. And we saw that. We always have a good group at C for Francis' school. There's always a good mix of instructors. You saw half the room was over 50. right? Half the room was 50s,
Yeah,
60s,
I
and
don't know
70s,
who those old
right?
farts
So
are
there was a,
because I'm not part of that group.
but it really was a
Yeah.
great group where if anybody was looking around going with deer in the headlights, someone was going over and going, "You guys good? Did you get?" And they could give them something to
Hmm.
train because that was the key. Maybe in 97, I wasn't really, I was writing a
Yeah.
bunch of stuff. When I went back, I was like, I don't know what this
Mm.
is because that's what some people couldn't write it.
Okay.
So I could write it, but when I went home, I had no idea what it was.
I see.
Now I go back and I'm like, yeah, now I know I
Yeah.
can write it. I know we're in the 1-2 series. We're in the Albanico family. We're in the Orta Beast family. Da,
Do
da, da, da,
you
da. So you
can
know
you
certain
remember can you
structures to
remember,
take notes
Mike,
on.
the point at which the note taken started to make sense?
Yeah, I think I had to go through probably maybe 2 years of random seminars of attempting to take notes and
Hmm.
looking at it before I was able to, in real time, write down a couple things, put it down, train something,
Hmm.
go back, do it
Hmm.
again. Right? Because you might train something and make a few notes and then time, and then depending on what your own flow is. Some people can't write it down in real time. They watch it. Okay, I got 1 and 3. Not everybody can write it down and just get variations. It's definitely difficult. And if you start writing, you lose what they're doing.
Huh.
So this whole tug
Yeah.
of war between looking at everything and writing stuff down, that's if you just look at everything and then you're like, all right, it's on my short-term memory, I have to do it. Now you're eating away your time to train it. So you might have to play it the way that you work better personally. Train it, write notes, or write notes and then train it. I'm good at doing whatever I can do when he's saying it, training it, and then at night, I'm kind of like, okay, because I can write lines between
Hmm.
sections. Every time it's time, you draw a line, and then you have to write something new.
Oh.
Go train it. Time, write something new. Go train it. That's the way I approach it.
Oh.
So when I document notes, I approach the seminar as if I'm documenting as much as I can of what
Right.
happened. Then later on, I might turn it into curriculum notes or class notes or rewrite it and flesh it out in
Yeah.
longhand. But when I'm documenting it, it's like every time he goes time, okay, new thing. I write something, go train it. Write something, go
Hmm.
train it, and then that gets better over time. So that's one of the ways that I've definitely approached the
Yeah.
seminar thing,
I
right? Because you have to be able to take
Right.
something away. Then you have to train it at home. And you heard how many times Guru Dan said that. If you don't train it, he even quoted Master Chai. If you do it in the seminar and you drop it, you're not going to get any better. So you have to go home and
Yeah.
train it, right? You can't just go to the seminar and go, "Oh, cool,
Yeah.
I saw it," and go home. You got
What
to
do you, what
train
do
it,
you make
right? So what can you take back
what
and
do you
train?
make of when he says something like, if you can't remember it, make up your own?
Oh, that's great. So there's so many variations that what I think he's assuming that you have material that you're not just pulling
Right.
stuff out of your
Right.
armpit or some
Right.
other place. So I think what he's saying is that like there might be something where you're like, "Oh crap, I don't have any follow-ups for this." And you should be able to come up with some follow-up. So he says make it up. And some of that can be really good where you get creative because, like for example, certain just for time's sake, we might have a cross lead kick. We did that a lot. But that could be any kick, it could be any hand combination. But just for time's sake, we're focusing on something else and the ABC was cross lead kick. Once you get home, you can say, "Oh, let's make those things
Hmm.
different." You can make the kick different. That's when you could put in the Savat thing where he was talking about 3 punches and
Hmm.
3 kicks, and you can mix up those kicks. So that's when you could say, oh well, let's mix up the follow ups depending on what follow ups you want to work. And that's when it gets creative and kind of more interesting, but also deviates depending on what
Right.
someone wants to train. Those are all the things I think people who say you gotta practice something 1,000 times. Those particulars would be the things
Right.
they pick to do the 1,000 times or whatever,
So
right?
do you consider, based on what you just said, and what we said he says about creativity. Do you consider what he shows on seminar to be the Inasano curriculum? Like if you're a
So that's
student
really
of
interesting.
Dan Inasano's, this is what you're supposed to learn and study.
You know, before he, I guess before I might, I'm not an authority, so I mean, right? Like that's one of the things. There's some people online that you and I are friends with that will start a post by saying this is not JKD to inoculate themselves and others from this idea. Um, and you remember in the beginning of the first day, because I think you were already there. We had already said hi to each other when Guru Dan was like, I'm gonna teach some Jeet Kune," and I never do this anymore. He said that, right? He said, I don't usually teach this, right? And I checked with people at the academy. Tim Becker confirmed it that he said, well, it's only me and two other people that teach the Junfan level 3. Like, he doesn't teach it
Yeah.
anymore. So it was a privilege and an honor for him to say, I don't usually do this. I'm going to come in and teach this. And he said, I don't like the politics because, and he also said, I can teach the elements that are found in JKE and other arts. So I just choose to teach the other arts. There was later on in the weekend, he said
Mhm.
something like that. Now, he's not really getting up on a soapbox and saying these things. This is very much kind of like let's do a warm up and get going and stuff like that. And he said a few things and then let's
Yeah.
get into it. So I definitely think that I think that what you're talking about, I would say yes to your question, but I would say yes that everything seems to be based on a time period. And so when you're seeing him and he's giving you something, this is what he's giving you now. So I
Oh.
feel a sense of I feel a sense of importance as a student of his to take what he's saying somewhat seriously. If I consider myself a student of his when he's giving me something in the seminar, to take that and train it. So, in a certain sense, what he's giving me is what I should work on for this year until I see him until April, because he's definitely hinting periodically through the seminar that if you guys don't train this, it's not going to get any
Right.
better. So, and there has been a pattern of what he's been showing. So it shows what he thinks is important, at least
Mhm.
now. And people change over time, and different people train different things. And I think just you go away from things, you come back to it, and we've definitely seen seminar notes bring in different arts. Karika Brong is a thing, and then it goes away. Certain things come in, then they go out. So the certain things that I've seen at Seafor Francis's
Yeah.
school, both with Guru Dan and with Seafor Francis, have actually been a kind of
Do you
trend,
find
both the morning and the afternoon
do you find a
sessions.
similar any
It's built on it over the
do you
past
find
2
any
years.
similarities in their methodologies, Fong and Inasano?
Curriculum wise, but it's really difficult to see. I think I didn't see it until I had trained with C for Francis for like the past 2 years. And then I can see the curriculum is like really spread out. Because Guru Dan will cover, like, he's giving you material that's like, all right, this is a material I want you to cover for the next year.
Hmm.
C for Francis is giving you pieces of a few drills where he's like, you need to explore these elements in the next year, but it's not the same. Like, I think with Guru we probably covered like material from 4 or 5 different, maybe 6 or 7 different arts, and there was we touched on different things, and there was elements that he probably wanted us to work on within those
Hmm.
sections. It wasn't like we covered one art in its
Right.
totality, but we covered a lot of different elements. So I think with C for Francis, there were certain concepts he wants you to get that he thinks is in the developmental stages of a
Right.
student that he wants to see, that gets to the place where the people he pulls up, he wants you to get elements so you can get to that place. And it's the same with Guru Dan. There's curriculum that he'll say, okay, I'm going to pull up my instructors and spot check and see how everybody's doing. And this is what you guys should be able to basically kind of do. And where some criticism comes out where people say, oh, well, a lot of guys can only do drills and stuff. The drills set up a lot of the fundamentals, the vocabulary, the pieces, um, elements that you're going to put together into how you're going to train your own stuff when you go back. So, judging how someone trains in a seminar, I don't think is really fair to say, oh, they're drill
Right.
masters. They only do this in a
Yeah.
seminar. Um,
Well,
that's really a public seminar is a very
well,
different
yeah.
thing than
A
a
seminar. I
closed
mean,
seminar or training.
do you consider a seminar to be, how should I put it? To be like a real training event, or okay,
No,
what? So
not in the way that you would be at your
right.
own school. If you're at your own school, and I know this from teaching at Premier, and they had a very if you have a school that says they teach Krav, they're going to pride themselves on blood being shed in some kind of a stress drill. It's very different than like, hey, no one's going to
Mhm,
get hurt. Some of these guys really, hey, yeah, they wear it like a badge of honor because they went through the
mhm,
gauntlet, right? So that kind of training is different, but you can't do that at a public
right.
seminar. You can't say, "Hey, let's all get together," and anybody come in, you sign a waiver, and then you beat the crap out of each other. That's not no one. You can't do that at public seminars. So even if you wanted to say we're going to do sparring drills, you have to be very careful with the way that somebody would put out certain sparring
Mhm,
drills. Like Sifu Burt would do it brilliantly. There's some instructors that I've trained with, and there are others. I haven't trained with everybody, of course. Some people in the comment section can volunteer people that do it as well. There's
mhm,
others out there. But some people can put out sparring drills where you make it a game, you make it play, no one gets hurt, but you can have elements that can free flow the drills in between sparring and the set drills, right? You have to have those things to play in between there.
mm,
You know, I used to talk to a lot of people about a triangle, and a lot of people would be like, "Oh, here he goes with the triangle metaphor again." So the art, sport, and
right.
science. If some of you will indulge me in the comment section, if we're gonna go into a little bit of philosophical teaching here. The triangle. There's a lot of triangles, right? We have the triangles that throughout the martial arts. Here's another one: art, sport, and science. So science and sport are the base. Art is the fancy stuff when we go up way over here, right? So think about the base, sport and
Mhm,
science. The more rules you have, the more sport. The less rules, the more science. This is where sparring is. Sparring is the base. So think about that. It's any technique can be trained in some kind of mode. If you're doing Tai Chi where it's really within
yeah.
here, it's going to be in the art side. But the Kenjit Siko is in Tai Chi. It's very similar to this. It's very
Okay.
similar. So when you really train it, if it goes away from the art side because Jiu-Jitsu has it, Capoeira has it, Silat has it, Tai
Right.
Chi has it. A lot of arts have that Kenjin
Right.
Siko. It's called different stuff in
Right.
different arts. But when you see it in the form, it's in the art side. When you really pull it off, it's going to linger
Yeah.
down to here. Depending on how many rules and how few rules, that's
Yeah.
your base. So we can use this metaphor as art, sport, and science to talk about things when someone brings in something that seems to be too fancy and someone's, oh,
Yeah.
that would work, that we can look at the triangle again. Hey, we have to be trained
Right.
our whole life. So you're going to constantly train like a psychopath during the
Yeah.
science stuff. I don't think you're going to last that long. Right? We know you have to train until you're really old and you have to balance these things.
Okay.
So
Now
anyway,
I have
go
a
ahead.
question for you. So we take that triangle, right? Okay. So you have art at the top, you have sport on one side, and science on the other side. But we're going to take that triangle and do this. Can we do that? So now let's say we have science at the top and sport and art. Can sport and art be a base as well?
I think you can. I think you can because look at traditional arts that look at the forms and then go into competition with it, and then they apply whatever the form
Hmm.
is. Like I'm just talking to someone in one of my private groups, and he wants to learn a black belt form called Kung San Gun. So this is a shout out to my little group out in the CSRA. What's up, guys? So if we're going to study that form, right, and I may have to bring people in, like I'm sure my friend, your friend as well, Bill in Wiesbaden, he's thinking about that form, like, oh, I can. We may have to bring people in to show some intricacies in how you apply parts of
Hmm.
that form, because we can train it and use it as a form of exercise or
Right.
warm up, and then look at the history and everything else. But then we can pull from instructors that can say, oh yeah, there's these really cool, like, 6 or 7 different, like, actual techniques from there,
Mm.
right? And so when you're training the form after that, it has a deeper
Yeah.
meaning when you know the applications. Like, think about the I haven't trained the jurus that much, but I'm really just getting into silat a lot
Hmm.
more now. And think about the way the jurus are when you know the silat, because that's the way Guru Dan teaches
Where?
silat as well. You kind of teach the
Yeah.
application in the seminar, and then you go back and learn
Which
the.
branch? Which
Yeah, go
branch
ahead.
of Silat Jurus are you getting into?
Well, I'm just trying to pick people's brains, that throw stuff out there, like you know, Sifu Conrad, who's out I think is in San
Okay.
Diego. So there's people who throw out material, but that's very academic. I mean, I'm trying to connect very
Yeah.
far points, because the things that we get in the seminar flow from Hubud and
Right.
different things, and you're doing certain, Sapu Dalam, Sapu Luar, and those things make sense. In the Jurus, I feel like I need to train with someone, like, where they're standing
Uh-huh.
next to me, because it's like Chisao. If I don't have an instructor and feel the energy, it's very difficult to go away from the seminar and pull that material off with
Yeah.
a partner. I don't have the framework to pull off Chisao unless I've done it with an instructor. So for me, the some of that material is harder to approach than some of the stuff that I actually have a background in from my own training.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it'll take me a lot longer. Like, I'm going to be a white belt in Wing Chun for a long time, because I don't want to go back and practice this wrong. Like, I'm rooted in the Filipino martial arts as my
Right.
sensitivity drills. So you know what I mean? You have to be honest with where you're coming from, but still try to acquire. Like, I'm fine. I like the always a white belt mentality. I'm fine going in and saying, "Hey,
I
these
have a
arts are
new
newer to me. I'm
I have a
gonna."
new game. Okay. We pick a topic, right?
Yeah,
And then we take that triangle and we spin it, right? And then wherever it
I love this.
stops,
I love this
right?
idea.
Wherever it
I
stops,
love this
the
idea.
discussion has to start at that point and then go to the other 2 points.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. I like that. I like that. That's almost like a dreidel. It's a
Right?
martial
Right?
arts dreidel. You spin the
Yep.
martial arts
Yep.
dreidel, right?
And
That's
then and
great.
then and then
That's
we then,
hilarious.
then
I
we
like
go
that.
there. Um, I still I
I feel like that is really a Jeet Kune Do kind of thought experiment to go between the art, sport,
uh-huh.
and science. I think it's a very good thought experiment, because as JKD people, we want to think that we're training for our whole lives,
Yeah.
right? It's not just what works out on the street right now, but I'll be 50 in a month. So there's a certain celebration that I've been going through, the seminar that we saw each other at. I'll be going up to Detroit to see Nico in about a
Okay.
week, so I'll see you guys in the north pretty soon. So I've done a few things leading up to my 50th birthday to challenge myself. I feel like those kind of things are that's what's really important. Kind of keeping yourself, holding yourself accountable, having a few of
Yeah.
those things
So
to do. Um,
you and I are going to
and
miss each other by a week then, because if you're going to go see Nico next week, I'll see him the week after because we're both going to Cass Magda's seminar in Michigan.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'd like to be able to do more seminars, but I had, like, basically 3 trips
Hmm.
this year. So Indianapolis was one, and I saw some great people in Indianapolis. I also started training with a Tai Chi
Hmm.
instructor that's very much JKD
Ah.
mindset. So it's very interesting to share. They were very One of the students of theirs has been training with me for 3 years, him and his wife, and they've been training in Tai Chi for 20
Wow.
years. So the instructor, who has a Shaolin background, who teaches Tai Chi to this small group, he was very open to some of the flow drills like Hubud, some of the things like, even things like Heaven Six and what some of these kind of patterns might mean when you try to apply them to different types of things. So there's kind of a sharing that we might
So
start doing
hang on a
remotely
second.
because I've been
Hang on a
training these
second.
people
Wait,
online
wait. Let's
anyway.
make sure we don't gloss over that. So you're saying that there's a Tai Chi guy that might take the inward backhand of Heaven Six and see something familiar in it?
When I went there and I taught, he let me teach 2 hours at his Tai Chi
Uh
class.
huh.
So, um, and he kept saying, "Whoa, there's a lot of Tai Chi principles in here." And do you remember? Do you know? And I'm going to give another shout out. A lot of shout outs will happen. So I apologize. It maybe seemed gratuitous. Ulysses Fuentes, who's in
Yeah.
Indianapolis, I think you know him. We've seen him at
Yep.
seminars in
Yep.
Atlanta. He met people that I train
Okay.
with. And I think that mindset, I was trying to get that Tai Chi instructor connected with him because they're not that far from each
Ah.
other. Um, but yes, this guy, but with him being Shaolin trained and having trained in a lot of martial arts and appreciating boxing and a lot of different things, brings in qigong and brings in bagua and different stuff, and still trains the Tai
Right.
Chi. So my students who train under him, like, man, he's always changing stuff. And I'm like, I like this guy. I like this guy. So me giving my students some stuff, they would bring it back to the Tai Chi class. That would change the way he would, like, for example, let me give you another example, is his sword work from Tai Chi. He now has a numbering system he came up with on his own because they took the concept of the numbering
Right.
system back. And he's like, I'm going to use this. Now he made
Right.
his own, but he now has a numbering system for his own Tai Chi sword
Ah.
work. So it's
Yeah.
brilliant. It's brilliant to just take this kind of Tai Chi approach with JKD. I mean, because even Francis Fung kept saying it's all the
Well, yeah.
same.
Yeah.
It's all the same, right? It, Everything is the
Yeah. And
same.
he
So
relates a lot
seeing
of
these
his
principles
hand motion in Wing Chun to the blade.
to
Yeah.
the knife, he does the knife stuff.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And very recently, a lot of Paul Vunak, I'm glad to see, has been around and a lot recently. A lot of his videos have surfaced, and people have been
Yeah.
sharing them. And there was a video that he surfaced where he was talking about flow
Hmm.
drills, very short snippet, like 40
Yeah.
seconds. And he said you could even go into Tai Chi push hands. He was doing Hubad and he did it. There's a few flow drills that
Hmm.
he flowed within. He was sharing some old clips that were brilliant. I'm glad to see he's got the social media presence again. And that's exactly the thing that I was
Yeah.
talking about. I mean, we know you go into a Huba. Oh, there's a place to go into the Tai
Yeah.
Chi push hands because you're. I think there's an elbow
The-
position. So anyway, there could be some interesting marriage of different arts
yeah.
there, where we can bring this Tai Chi guy into the fold. He basically said, I want to teach you these 13 moves that aren't taught anymore. And all of a sudden I started going into Saturday morning Kung Fu theater. I'm like, whoa, I'm gonna learn the 13
Yeah.
secrets. I was like, all right, I made a Facebook group. We're in there, we're gonna start sharing
Yeah.
knowledge. So I already see Bill is in the comment section. You're gonna have to give me some Kong San Gun notes, my friend. Already see our usual suspects. This is great. I love
Yeah.
you guys.
Um, yeah.
So the seminar was great. I didn't get a chance to talk to you. I thought maybe you were you had dealing with some kind of a crisis because usually you're more present and you float around. You seem to be kind of occupied, but I didn't want to
Well,
butt in, so I didn't really think it
that's
was my
because
place
Ron
to.
Reagan and those guys made me go to the back of the room. I don't function well in the back of the room. You know, right?
Knock by. That was that next time in April. I'll be like, all right, then bring
Yeah,
him into the
yeah.
middle.
I can't.
Can't
If I go,
bogart him. You can't bogart
if
two
I
items
go to the back of
inside.
the room, I'm just gonna be quiet. You know, because it takes too. It yeah, it
Right,
takes too
exactly.
long.
You can't bogart seafood
Yeah,
Dwight
it
on the
takes too long
side.
to get to the front of the room, and I'll be exhausted by the time I get there. Right. So um, but yeah.
He had some good people to show. She had some good
Hmm.
people. I mean, Kevin is always there. He's always fantastic. But the instructors that they had, I always like. Half, like I said earlier, half the room was over
Yeah.
50. And it never fails. Who's over 20, who's over
Hmm.
30, who's over 40, all the way up. There was someone there in their 70s. There was someone who was 80, right? There was someone who was 82,
Yeah,
I
I
think,
that might have
in the
been
very beginning. We all gave him, someone was 82. Someone was
gosh, that might have
82.
been the guy Ray Pacheco. I'm not sure, but there was somebody. Yes, yeah, that's impressive, huh?
Someone was in
Yeah.
their 80s. So, and we had instructors in every decade. I mean, really, 40s, 50s, and 60s were very well
Hmm.
represented at the
Yeah.
seminar. And man, it was like being in the room with close friends. I mean, anywhere you looked, if you had a question, there were instructors everywhere. Mark Mills, my friend in Colombia, he was right there next to me and my training
Yep.
partner, who Brian
Yep.
McComber, who's in Canada. He's awesome. Mark Mills was helping us like literally the
Hmm.
entire time. Anytime we had a
Right.
hesitation that we didn't know one of the drills, he was like, "Oh, you
Right.
got this one." So that's the way the seminar really was so super supportive, and that's what I think is that community is really one of the big
Hmm.
takeaways from some of
Yeah.
these seminars, particularly at Francis
Yeah.
Fung School. I think that really makes it so great is that
Yeah.
community because wherever you are, you're going to have a lot. You're going to learn a lot, and you're going to take a lot away
Okay. So
because of that
I want
community.
to close up by throwing this at you, right? So a guy posted, as did you, because I use your photograph. He posted a photograph of himself with Sifu Inasano at the seminar, right? And then the question was asked of him, did Dan Inasano teach any Jeet Kune at the seminar? Right? So let's pretend that somebody asked you that question. How would you answer it? And then I have a second part to the question.
I would simply say, yes, he did. I
You
would
didn't
leave it
fall
there.
for it,
I would
right?
say,
Yeah.
yes, he did.
Okay. But this is okay. So the guy, and it's Matthew Thompson. I don't think Matthew would object to my mentioning it. He said yes, he did. But then Matthew also said, and he said some JKD, but he definitely taught JKD concepts, right? So how would you
Hmm,
interpret that? Yeah,
interesting.
because I find it very interesting, right?
Interesting.
How would you interpret that, Mikey?
So, in my that's really interesting. If I look back at my notes, I wouldn't because I have them. I have them. I have 13 pages. Well, not all
I
13 are
still don't
Godin. Some are
understand how
Francis
you
Fung,
did
but
that.
I I wouldn't. I can show you. I'm willing to. We can photograph these. Um, I don't have a place where some form of JKD stops and the concepts begins
Ah,
necessarily. Um, I that's not in my notes. So if he has that, I'm not singling
right.
him out. I think that um, what I was seeing was very interesting because, for example, he talked about four phases. He talked about how equipment
Hmm.
changed. He talked about the baton, the gloves that we see in Enter the
Hmm.
Dragon were Japanese
Hmm.
baton kind of
Hmm.
training. And then later on, he cut the fingers off, and it was probably the first version of what we see as the MMA
Hmm.
gloves
Right.
today. Uh, and then I had ABC, HIA to ABC, ABD to
Hmm.
ABC, PIA to ABC. That's what I
Hmm.
had. So I didn't really have JKD concepts as a subset of a larger teaching
Right.
section
Right.
necessarily. I tried like I said earlier, what I tried to do, and maybe I missed a structural thing that was there that I didn't see in my
Hmm.
outline. But what I tried to do is every time he taught something, you would see I don't see very well. I would try to get up close. I would make notes, and then okay, go. Can you get
Yeah.
this far? Go. I would train it. Okay, time. I would write something
Yeah.
else. All I did, write something,
Yeah.
train it. Write something,
Yeah.
train it. Write something, train. That's it. So the lens that I was looking through was I was trying to write it down pretty much as he gave
Right.
it to me.
Yeah.
So again, it's possible if there was Jeet Kune concepts in there and there was other stuff in there and I wasn't
Okay.
seeing because
So now, so
hey,
now,
I don't
so
claim
here,
to know
so
everything. It's
here's the,
possible there was something I
so
didn't
here's the
see.
second part, right?
If that such a thing
Ah,
exists.
because that's the second part. What is when if people expected to see Jeet Kune Do concepts being taught, do you have any idea what it is they expect to see? No.
No, I don't. Not
I
anymore. I think maybe when no, I think when I started out, maybe when I before I really trained at seminars, maybe I had an idea that it would have been um trapping to combinations, the stop hit. Um, if they're gonna be a boxer, you'll grapple. If they're gonna grapple, you're gonna kick. I mean, I thought that there were concepts that I associated. I had the books, I had the fighting methods, I had things that maybe when you're reading the books, you're thinking are going to be concepts that you're gonna
right,
train. So maybe I thought that certain things were concepts that were just maybe just the five ways of attack or just something that was within this one
right.
trapping set. But it wasn't necessarily
Yeah,
concepts. It wasn't
yeah.
concepts
I'm trying
necessarily.
to find out what the people who use the term Jeet Kune Do concepts. I'm trying to find out what it is
Right.
exactly that they mean when they use that term, right? And there's no,
It's very possible that well, I can understand that there could be people going to a seminar and like a telephone game when you come away from a seminar and you look at the notes and what you got from maybe one seminar, you might have a different
yeah,
view of a
yeah,
curriculum that's different than if someone just trained at a school the
yeah,
entire time. Because seminar people like myself on the East Coast that had an instructor, we never assumed that everything we're getting from the seminar was the entire curriculum. We had an instructor to go back to, though. We didn't have to punch a balloon in our room by ourselves. We had an instructor to
mhm,
train with, right? So the whole idea that practice doesn't make perfect, practice makes habit. If I have crappy habits and I'm just doing this 1,000 times. This isn't a great punch if I do it 1,000 times badly. The whole idea you have to train everything 1,000 times. Well, if I just do this and it's crappy, that doesn't those 1,000 reps don't mean anything. So it'd be better if I had a good instructor. So going to the seminars, I always knew the quality of what you can take away from these varies greatly. But
right,
that's on me. That's not on the seminar
right,
instructor.
yeah,
That's on me. It's not like, oh well, this guy teaches such and such and so forth. If I can't perform anything, and that I think people can will resonate with people. A lot of the people that are like, oh well, you just have to spar all the time and that's it. Even that argument should
yeah.
resonate with those
Okay,
guys,
here's
right? You have
right,
to perform it. So don't criticize an
yeah.
instructor, right?
Here's my last question for you, right? And I assure you, you won't get in trouble. Tim Becker is not going to run off to Sifu and Asano and report you. Okay. So if you could say something to Dan and Asano about teaching the seminars, right? Okay. Is there anything that you would recommend that he do? Is there anything you would ask him to do? Um, uh, I don't want to lead you in a particular direction, but like if you could have a
Right.
perfect seminar scenario, right? Okay. Is there anything that you might say to Dan and Asano?
I've trained in a lot of seminars. We've covered material that varied over time, and I like the material that varied. It's almost always been dealer's
uh,
choice. It's always been like when I went to see Rick and Amy Tucci. Some of you guys in the comment section will actually know if we went to the Hun School to see Rick and Amy. Some of you guys will know how far back that goes. They were really good with Junfan kickboxing and certain things. That their guys, some of their guys were great, and they wanted Guru Dan to see it. So you knew you were going to see certain material at certain places. Don Guerin, when he was in Pittsburgh, you could see anything. Eric Paulson would come, and we'd be doing all shoot wrestling. So it was very different depending on where you'd go. But I liked that. So being a real Mike Krivka student where he wanted you to be able to hit hard and swing a stick really hard, and he wanted you to have very good
Yeah.
body mechanics. Mike Krivka wanted you to have the kind of body mechanics that Guru Dan would recognize it. That's what he wanted. He wanted Guru Dan to be able to go, "You're a student of Mike
Uh,
Krivka, aren't you?" Because you could see the mechanics and the
right,
way they
right.
moved. So beyond that, you could train in any art. You could train in anything. So I always seemed, because when I came into it, we already had ideas of death threats that were levied against Mike Krivka and other people. So I was so thankful to be in seminars and have anything they taught, I was going to be there for. So to be quite honest, I like the way that he skips around between five different arts over
Hmm.
8 hours. Because we did 8 hours.
Yeah.
We did 4 and 4, Saturday and Sunday. And the structure was brilliant. The way we go from empty hand to weapons, the way we go from sort of Bruce Lee's arts into Filipino and Southeast Asian arts and other stuff. I think that transition is brilliant, and the way it kind of builds over the 2 days. So I I'm just thankful that I've been along for the ride as long
Yeah.
as I have.
All right.
I wouldn't ask I wouldn't ask them to change anything.
Okay. All right. Cool. Mike, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight, man. I really appreciate it.
I
All right.
appreciate you having me
And
on. I appreciate you
yeah,
having me on, my
hopefully,
friend.
hopefully we will
Always
see
a
each other
pleasure.
before April. But yeah, I think Ronnie and I are definitely planning to be there. What about January when they take Train with the Masters to LA? Do you ever make that one?
No, I heard about that. Someone was
Yeah.
talking about that, and someone else is coming into Atlanta in February, and there's an affiliate training in November. Because Nick was talking about the
Okay.
affiliate training. Kevin Lee was talking to me about bringing in Nicholas Sayak in
Okay.
February. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
chances to go
Yeah.
back. And if I have time, maybe I make my way all the way down to see you in Miami. I've
Well,
yet to go to Miami. So
Titans
it'd be
Titans
nice to
is coming
make
up in February, the first weekend in February, right?
a
And
exactly.
yeah,
I saw that link
those
for
guys
that.
are
Yep.
definitely something to check out.
Yep.
All right. Well, Mikey, have a great weekend, man, and thanks again for doing this. All
I
right.
appreciate you.
Okay. Take care, man.
Thanks again.
All righty.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot. I appreciate you.
All right. That's my boy, Mike Yuskiw. This was episode 350 of the Jeet Kune Dialogues. You guys go ahead. If you got any questions or comments, go ahead and put them in. Put them in, and I'll ask Mike to take a look. And that is it for today. Follow me on Twitter at Dwight Woods and on Instagram at Dwight D Woods. And let's see. So you may have noticed, and then again, you may not have noticed, but I haven't done an issue of the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast for a couple of weeks now, and that's because it's just been a relatively hectic travel schedule. And in all honesty, on Wednesday, I'm to heading out west again. So I might be able to do something from the West Coast in terms of the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast. But then Friday is going to be a really hectic day. So I'm pretty sure over the next 2 weekends, there won't be any Jeet Kune Do dialogues because they're both travel weekend. But we'll see, right? I'll try not to stay away too long because I know you guys miss me a lot when I'm gone. I wish. Anyhow, this is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebels, signing off. You guys have a great weekend, and we will talk soon. Take care.